God left me unfinished!
The 4th of July marks the day of America's independence. How they got it, how they beat up a bunch of British people, and all that other good shit. But today, specifically as I record this video, because I don't know when the fuck this video is coming out, another thing has happened. Another thing that I honestly hate. Another thing that pisses me off to my fucking core. It's the return of John Cena. The people that actually like this wrestler, you're fucking dumb. I hate you. And yeah, that's all I have to say about you when I talk behind your back when you're sleeping. So today's episode of Bitching is Magic is going to be on the Doctor of Thugonomics, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect, Mr. Jack, you can't see me, Jack, I have to go and climb that mountain, Jack, and overcome every single obstacle that comes my way. That's the American way, Jack, because the champ is here! John Cena. Today's episode is going to be about John Cena. Without further ado, let's get those marks a little bit pissed off because I don't know every single thing about wrestling because I took a break during 2008 and 2012 because of that fucking face. Before my anger can actually start with this asshole, let's go all the way back to the year 2000. Ohio Valley Wrestling had recruited John Cena as the prototype, a wrestler who honestly had a little bit of mic skill and some skill in the ring itself, so he wasn't that bad. He was just the same cardboard copy of every single heel wrestler back in the early 2000s, so obviously you can see why everyone fucking hated him. Fun fact, did you know that he had a match against David Flair and lost? Yes, that David Flair. Let that sink into your mind for a second. John Cena then stayed with OVW for a good few years until finally moving into the main roster as just John Cena, the ruthless aggression wrestler with no personality and no character traits whatsoever. He had a match against Kurt Angle and lost. He didn't lose like an absolute job fest, but it was a decent match. It was so good that everyone in the locker room was legitimately impressed by John Cena. And then after that, he was still a ruthless aggression character for a while. He didn't have a character. That was a ruthless aggression John Cena character. With fans getting sick and tired of John Cena, he decided to try something a little bit different. John Cena found the baggiest of pants, the shittiest of jerseys, and the shittiest of chains just so he could become the Doctor of Thugonomics. John Cena then had an outstanding rivalry with people like Kurt Angle, The Big Show, Carlito, and many other wrestlers back in the day, working on his craft, making himself look like the biggest asshole in the entire goddamn universe, while also trying his best to get with the fans, and I will admit he was a very decent rapper. Hell, I even remember buying John Cena's rap album when I was a little kid, and listening to it now, Bad Man is still his best song. Honestly, that should be his theme song in my personal opinion, if he does end up turning heel, which I highly doubt he ever will again because he's just such a fucking we'll get into that later. Cena then went out to have an outstanding wrestling career with his gimmick. Then 2005 came along and WWE executives were on drugs one day and had an idea. They were thinking, hey, you know this guy? You know his gimmick of him being an asshole, of him being a rap person who's just a kind of a piece of shit, who's just really likable though? Let's take his gimmick that everyone likes, let's turn him to a good guy.
What?
Right after he went to Raw, he basically turned into the biggest self-righteous dickhead that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. As John Cena was currently WWE champion, he had many rivalries with people like Edge, Rob Van Dam, and those guys, I guess. I mean, Cena fucking squashes them so fast, literally blinking, you will miss a John Cena match. That's how fast it'll squash him. Now, let me tell you the problems I actually have with John Cena before I just go and ramble on like a little bitch. What's his main thing on his t-shirts and his hats and shit like that? Hustle, loyalty, and respect. I have 3 fucking statements telling you why you cannot do that. 1, you can't be a hustler and have loyalty and respect for anyone. A hustler is basically somebody who takes your money and then does absolutely nothing with it. And you're supposed to be an asshole. 2, you're an asshole. You don't do anything that has anything to do with loyalty or respect unless it's somebody that's retired or somebody that's really bigger than you or at the same length as you. But if it's somebody lower like Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper and fucking Ryback, I'm gonna get to that in a little bit, you don't do anything for them. But when fucking Hulk Hogan gets his dick kicked in, oh, I gotta go and beat Super Cena and save the day. And 3, you have no respect for anyone except yourself because you're a misogynistic asshole who no one even likes anymore. That's what I have a problem with your goddamn hustle, loyalty, and respect bullshit, which doesn't even make sense, by the way.
What I think got worse with John Cena isn't just the character itself, but his wrestling ability. Because WWE basically said, listen, John, you're our boy. Kids like your shit. We're entering the PG era now, so you have to stay you, and you don't have to try anymore. And that's the thing. John Cena back in the day was a good wrestler, in my honest opinion. John Cena tried his best. John Cena wanted to be, like, the best out there. John Cena's wrestling just declined in quality because it was just so bad. He just didn't give a shit anymore, and you can tell by the way he wrestled and by the way he acted towards everybody in the ring, because the champ was here. It was going to stay like that for a very, very, very long time. Even when he wasn't the champ, he was still the champ because he gets paid more than everybody else. He gets all this other good shit, and every single time he has to look like the good guy, it gets graining very, very fast. But I will give you 3 examples of why John Cena's gimmick as a face is one of the worst things that killed WWE for a while. At least for me. Number 1. Drafting from SmackDown Raw. At this time, they were going against the war angle with ECW, and honestly, this angle was kind of Trek. It was the beginning of ECW's triumphant return, but then Vince McMahon took over the entire creative purpose and then ruined everything. Put it into the Sci-Fi Channel and made it into a complete fucking mess. Now, in the angle, John Cena wanted absolutely no part in this angle. He was just like, I want to be a wrestler, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then Eric Bischoff's like, no, John, we need you. We need your strength and your power in order to overcome ECW. Now, this here is where my problem begins. They need John Cena to beat a bunch of fucking assholes from ECW. You need one guy to beat an entire roster of wrestlers. You need him to be the leader? John Cena. This guy that just won the WWE Championship and whose career has gone really, really great so far. Look, I understand what you're trying to go for, but it's just not going to work. And that's what basically turned me off with the idea of John Cena being a main eventer. It was just so sudden and so soon that I personally didn't like it.
No, unacceptable.
Story-wise, this was a bad idea, and it just made John Cena look like a petty asshole. But oh no, that was just the beginning of the end of John Cena's likability towards the fan base. Number 2, ruining Zack Ryder's career. I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. Zack Ryder is a good boy. Zack Ryder is an amazing boy, and he deserves every single inch of respect and love and a fucking belt more than a... God, he is just treated like absolute garbage. And it isn't fair because of the fact that Zack Ryder himself is an entertaining guy. He's a good worker, and he has such charisma. He has the it factor, and somehow, despite his fan following, despite the fact that he was the first wrestler to have a YouTube channel that is a success. I love you, Austin Creed. I love Up, Up, Down, Down, but I'm sorry, Zack Ryder and Austin have to have a match at WrestleMania for the Internet Championship because Ryder needs that fucking push. And he also needs to get away from Mojo Rawley. It is literally Like, of mice and men in real life. Every single time Mojo Rawley talks, I think about rabbits. If you read the book, you'll understand the reference. WWE's writing team had basically gone on to make John Cena and Zack Ryder super best friends forever. Besties. Oh, they go to slumber parties and they hang out together and they do their hair and makeup and do all this other girly shit. It got to the point where Zack Ryder was just so popular that he was even rivaling people like John Cena and The Rock. In one night, there was supposed to be a fucking match against The Miz and R-Truth, but Zack Ryder got fucking jumped backstage, and then everyone was so pissed off, they were chanting, "We want Ryder," over and over and over again, because of how likable Zack Ryder was to the company. We wanted to see Zack succeed. We wanted to see him get a title shot. And when he did, and he won, it was great. It was fantastic. And it was his first ever singles championship that he won by himself, with no help with anyone else. Okay, well, granted, he did get help from John Cena so he could beat Mark Henry, but hey, he got his win. But then the big fuck you foot from Monty Python came in and ruined any chances of Zack Ryder doing anything relevant ever. Just jobbing the people, literally getting cucked by John Cena and Eve. He was legitimately cucked on live television, and it was the most painful thing that we could see. Oh yeah, and Kane also raped Ryder multiple times. Multiple times he was beaten the shit out of by Kane, and it was just really uncomfortable just because, oh, that's John Cena's best friend. Let's fucking ruin him. It just got really painful after that. And it was just an angle just to make John Cena look good? Bad? Because he was still the face, and he made out with Eve, and he ruined Zack Ryder's career. And Eve was also terrible, and I hated her and everything that she stood for. Like, And now we get to the third and final strike of why I hate John Cena. Or at least his character, because the writers are to blame for that. Number 3. That fucking shitty authority angle no one liked. Do you like authority angles? I love authority angles. I love authority figures in authority angles. I love authority figures in authority angles that last for 5 fucking years. It was just a gigantic clusterfuck of authority figures being thrown in. You had John Laurinaitis. You had Stephanie McMahon. You had Triple H. Triple H. The man who basically said fuck authority and all that other bullshit with D-Generation X, but then after that, he became a fucking authority figure. What? What the fuck?
Let's talk about the Authority for a minute. The Authority are just fucking terrible. Cena is also just fucking terrible. So just get a rivalry with them and let John Cena be the hero.
And not only that, this made John Cena look like the biggest bitter asshole. Now let's look at a few wrestlers that were acquainted with John. Ryback, for instance, was a wrestler who was with the WWE for a very long time and had his ass kicked by the Authority for a while. While he was getting his ass kicked, John never showed up. The same thing happened with wrestlers like Eric Rowan and Dolph Ziggler and The Big Show. They were getting their asses kicked by the fucking Authority. John never showed up to help them. They knew that he was Super Cena. They knew he could do anything, but he never showed up. It made him look like a gigantic asshole, and it did not look good at all. And they were trying to make us believe that John Cena was the face. This was the tip of the iceberg. John Cena was the majority of most of the problems on Raw, and the WWE creative team did not see it that way. They were just like, oh, people want more John Cena.
What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy!
And so, to this day, John Cena had actually been getting more and more hate than he already had. And then somehow in 2016, a new person came into play that everyone hates even more. Roman Reigns. Now, my personal opinion, I think Roman Reigns is a fairly decent worker. He knows more than 4 moves. He has, okay, no charisma whatsoever. That's fine. That's fine. But he can work a good match depending on the person that's there. And John Cena has even gotten a little bit better at that, working with other people. But his character is still fucking trash. They kept on hinting at a heel turn for years and years and years, and we still haven't gotten it. Though he is the face of the WWE, I certainly think a heel turn is what John Cena needs. Maybe get back the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick, or do something entirely different.
Basically, if you're a whiny little bitch, you'll go far in this business. And that's how Bitching is Magic was created. Good night, everybody! No, but seriously, Linda McMahon, please don't stab me in my sleep.
You can't see me.
1, 2, 3, 4. Never speaks to me. Sorry, I never see you. I never see you. I never see you. I never see you. I never see you anymore.